can't tell if I'm in the wrong or not. What reasons can someone have to beating up another human being? Hi my lovelies, it's Rebecca Rogers. Welcome back to my channel. And it's Tuesday, meaning it's time for another weekly episode of Am I the Bad Apple? We've been here for quite a while now, so we should kind of get a good idea, but people are questioning their actions. They're not sure if they're the good guy or the bad guy, and we read their stories and we let them know. Good apple, bad apple, crab apple. I tell you my opinions, you guys tell me yours in the comments, and we all just have civil discourse. So I won't keep you guys waiting. Let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for missing my daughter's birth? For a little background information, I, male 28, have a beautiful wife 27. We've been trying for a baby for about 3 years now and have known each other since we were in high school. When my wife found out she was pregnant, we were thrilled and we've been getting prepared for months now. She's about 9 months along now, so any day. Now my dad is a real jerk. But he's my dad and he keeps me employed. He owns a pretty nice Italian restaurant that's been run by my family for decades. I've worked there since I was about 15 and now I'm the head chef. The problem is he treats his employees, including me, terribly. And if you even miss one shift, you get demoted or even worse, fired. I was in the middle of a very hectic shift on the busiest day of the week when my mother-in-law called me saying my wife went into labor and I needed to get to the hospital right away. I go to ask my dad if he can leave and he said,
"You can go if you're okay with being unemployed."
I couldn't risk that. After the baby was born, my wife would be off work for quite a while and I would have to make all of our money. If I lost my job, what would we do? My dad insisted that we were way too understaffed and he really needed my help and I couldn't leave. I tried to call my mother-in-law, but she wouldn't pick up, so I just kept working and thought I could explain myself later. When it was finally time to go home, I drove to the hospital as soon as I could, but my mother-in-law and my sister-in-laws refused to even let me in the room and kept calling me names like a bad father and a bad husband. I didn't even get to see my wife or my child. When it was finally time to leave the hospital, my wife and the new baby went to stay with my mother-in-law. They haven't spoken to me in days, and even when I tried to apologize and explain myself, they don't want to hear it. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I need to know, am I the bad apple? Yes, you missed the birth of your child. You let your wife give birth alone. I don't know what it's like to give birth, and hearing stories from my friends who have is one of the reasons I don't plan on ever doing it. It sounds excruciating, and she did that by herself. Now I know all the keyboard warriors are gonna be like, but his job! The dad's obviously bluffing. Do you think your dad would be prepared to tell his wife she won't be able to see her grandchild because he wouldn't let you go to the hospital? Do you really think that guy's mom is gonna be okay with the dad not letting him go? Of course, he's not actually gonna get fired. His mother wouldn't let his father fire him. Oh, I had to fire our son because he was going to watch our grandchild be born. That would not be a thing. His mother would never allow that to happen. You can't convince me. But let's say I'm wrong, okay? I'll appease you. You think that a boss who is already understaffed, who already is stressing out because they don't have enough workers, is gonna fire the head chef for going and being with his wife who's in labor? You think that that's gonna happen? You think that's the business move? No, of course he's not. Now I'll even appease you further. Let's say the dad is actually that dumb. Let's say for whatever reason, he thinks that the solution to being understaffed and having someone go want to watch the birth of their child is to fire them. Let's say he's that dumb. Do you not know how bad the labor shortage is right now? You could walk into any restaurant you want and say, hey, I've been a head chef for 10 years. And they would be like, thank you, God, can you start today? Start right now. We got an apron for you, we got a whatever. Just about any restaurant, I'm sure, could desperately use the help. So let's say the grandma doesn't stick up for the son who would have gone to the hospital. Let's say the dad is dumb enough to hire the head chef when he's already understaffed. He could have gotten a job anywhere, and yet he chose to be afraid of his dad, let his wife give birth alone, and miss seeing his child come into this world. And you know what, this kind of subject, it gets to me. It gets to me hard, okay? Let me tell you. I was at a men's league softball game. For those of you that don't know, softball is my husband's life. Like, that's his life. Now, we were in Florida. We don't live in Florida. We're in North Carolina, and there was another North Carolina team there, and one of my friends knew one of the other North Carolina players, and she saw him. She's like, hey, wasn't your wife supposed to give birth or something? I heard something about her going to the hospital, going into labor. And he said, yeah, my kid was born 20 minutes ago. What? You went across the country, let your wife give birth alone to play softball? And he's like, yeah, softball's life. No, 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 no. Especially knowing what some of my friends have been through when giving birth. No. And I know that the guy didn't mean anything malicious by it. I understand that. But knowing what he caused his wife to endure by herself, I can't give him crabapple. I'm sorry, I can't. He doesn't know what kind of complications could have happened at the hospital. He doesn't know if there had to be any emergency procedures. He doesn't know what he could have missed. He wasn't there. So I'm gonna go bad apple. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for refusing to allow my mother at my wedding? I, 33 male, am marrying the love of my life, 25 male. When I met my fiance, she had a 5-year-old daughter whose bio dad wasn't in the picture. We didn't start dating until my fiance finished college 3 years ago. She worked her butt off as a single mom to get her high school diploma, to get her teaching degree, and all of this after her parents kicked her out. Her daughter is now 10, and for the last 2 years, her daughter has been my daughter. I'm adopting her as a part of our wedding because I'm her dad now. Both my fiance and I are Caucasian, but our daughter is mixed race. When we were discussing the wedding with my parents, I overheard my mother say she can't wait to have a real grandchild. I immediately asked her, what do you mean by that? She said she just means it's obvious that my daughter wasn't biologically mine. She said she wants a child that's obviously hers, a grandchild she can show off. I would have never in a million years guessed those words would come out of my mother. I told her she's not welcome at the wedding if she's gonna talk that way about my daughter. She doesn't have to worry about even seeing my daughter, much less any of my other kids. Not if that's the way she's gonna speak about them. She's been blowing up all over social media, claiming that it's my fault for not understanding how she feels. It takes everything I have not to block her because she and my dad share accounts. I just want to be straight up with her and call her out for what it really is. Racism. That's clearly the issue she has with my daughter. And I'm not gonna tolerate it. There's no reason my daughter needs that from anyone, especially family. My family thinks I should give her a chance, but I don't want her and her attitude anywhere near my family, especially my children. My fiance says it's my call, but I know she's really hurt by what my mother said. So, am I the bad apple? There is one thing that I know for absolute certain, is that this little girl has gained the absolute jackpots in stepdads. I'm sorry, you're adopting her. I won't say stepdad. You are her dad. You're her dad, period. And she's so lucky to have you. Not once did you call her your stepdaughter or anything like that. She is your kid. And the fact that you're advocating for her so hard already makes my heart absolutely soar. In no way, shape, or form are you anywhere near the bad apple. I am so glad that you're showing your little girl that no matter what, you're in her corner, you're on her side, you will stick up for her and advocate for her and just really be her hero. Good apple, all the way. All the way. Shining to the core. That was pretty easy, but it was a really good story, and I'm really glad we did that one. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for telling my wife I hate our baby name? I, 35 non-binary, am having a baby soon with my wife. Time is passing quickly, so we've been picking out baby names. It's tradition in her family to name the firstborn child after one of the parents. I don't really have a problem with it, but my wife absolutely didn't want us naming our child after her. The baby's a girl, and my name is too boyish, apparently, so my wife wanted to name our child with my dead name. I'm very uncomfortable with that, and I told her that, but she insisted it was fine and that it wasn't my name anymore, so it shouldn't matter. I told her I have too many uncomfortable memories attached to that name, but she didn't like that answer. She hasn't talked to me for a few days, and it's been eating me up inside, and I have to know, am I wrong? Am I being stubborn? Am I the bad apple? No. Maybe it's like a cultural thing. Like in my culture, you name a kid after someone who is passed, so when you name a child after someone who's alive, it's like, it's bad luck. So already my experience is like, that's weird. But that's just my culture. I'm not saying it's weird for anyone else who does it. I'm just saying my family doesn't do that. And so the fact that she's so pressed about it is like, that's weird. At least just to me. Everyone's entitled to their own traditions and own whatever. I'm just kind of using this as an example of we all come from different walks of life and we all have different experiences that form our opinions. But I also use that to say I can't imagine naming a child after someone's still here. I definitely can't imagine naming a child a name that makes our family uncomfortable. Like there are two parents, and if one of the parents is like, oh, I really hate that, like, I don't understand why that's not nixed. The wife really didn't want the child named after her, and that was supposed to be fine, so why is she so offended that the partner doesn't want it named after them either? I feel like that's very hypocritical. You married a non-binary person understanding everything they've been to be this person that you fell in love with and wanted to marry to have a child with. How do you not understand how upsetting it is to want to use their dead name in your family? That seems very insensitive to me. I think OP is the good apple. I really do. I think the wife is the bad apple. I think she's being ridiculous. But now I'm interested. Do you guys have traditions where you name children something specific in your family? I need to know. I want to know. I want to see what kind of traditions you guys have, because now I'm interested. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for beating up my classmate? What? Who beats up a classmate and is like, oh, I don't know if I'm wrong in this decision? How? What? I, 12 female, am in middle school. I was in gym class, and it was one of those situations where all the gym teachers take us to the football field and just kind of let us run around. There's not any real adult supervision. I was just walking with some of my friends when I noticed all the way on the far end of the football field, there was a girl on my sports team who was just sitting on the ground picking 4-leaf clovers. I was about to turn back to my friends and walk away when I noticed a really big kid storm over to her. I couldn't hear what he was saying to her, but I could tell he was yelling. And all of a sudden he kicked her. She was already kind of squatting in a ball, so when he kicked her, she flopped over onto the ground, and then he just kept kicking. Before I even realized what I was doing, I just started sprinting over towards them, screaming, hey, leave her alone! It was very impulsive, and by the time I got up to them, I realized, oh shoot, I did not plan this out. I'm a 12-year-old girl, and this guy was 2 feet taller than me. When he heard me screaming, he turned around, looked at me, and I froze. I don't know how many seconds or even milliseconds I was standing there when all of a sudden he punched me in the face. So when someone so much bigger than me hit me, I fell right to the ground. He started yelling that that's what I got for sticking my nose where it didn't belong, and he went to go and kick me when I saw something. We were on the football field, and I don't really know much about football equipment, but I guess a piece of metal broke off of something football equipment related and was just sitting there on the ground. I saw the piece of metal in the corner of my eye, snatched it up really quick, and started hitting the kid as hard as I could. I didn't know if he was gonna hit me again, and I was scared. It honestly was a fight or flight reflex, and I guess my body chose fight. Every time I saw his arm go to hit me, I hit him back as hard as I could. After, I don't even know how many swings, he called me a crazy B word and just ran away. Let me tell you, that adrenaline rush was huge. I just kind of froze for a second, not really sure what just happened. My teammate looked up at me in the ground, wide-eyed, saying, I can't believe you just did that. I said, I can't either. I helped her up and it looked like she was hurt pretty badly. I took her to the gym teachers and told them about the guy that kicked her, but I didn't say anything about me hitting him back. They took her inside to call her mom, and the kid tried to tell the gym teachers that I bullied him and beat him up. But I'm so small, they didn't believe him. I just kind of got away with it. I feel bad about it sometimes though. I mean, he got suspended for quite a while and nothing happened to me. So I need to know, was that wrong? Should I have said something? Am I the bad apple? I'm gonna get some hate for this. Was she just supposed to let this kid beat her up into a pulp? He already hit her to the ground and was going to beat her up further. Was she just supposed to wait to see how bad it got? We're gonna do something new this week. Something we haven't done before, and something I don't know if we'll ever do again because I don't know how many of these situations there will be. We're gonna give this an undetermined apple because I don't feel like I can make a call on my own story. Yup, that was me. I've already had a situation in one episode where I told you guys my story and I actually picked crabapple for myself because I didn't necessarily agree with my actions from when I was a kid. It was the story when the kid tricked the teacher with the phone and called their friend instead of the mom. Like, you know what I'm talking about? When they weren't supposed to have the phone and the teacher was like, call your mom, tell her what you did on the last day of school. She called her friend, yeah, that was me. And I put that in the comments of a lot of platforms and people are like, no way, that happened. And I was like, but I figured, why not do this a little bit differently this time and let you guys pick completely? I want to know, was I the good apple, the bad apple, or the crab apple? If I were to pick today, I would give myself a crab apple because genuinely in that moment, I remember being so scared and so convinced, oh my gosh, is he gonna send me to the hospital? Kind of thing. And I remember, like, in my mentality was I'm fighting for my life right now. I was genuinely afraid. But I don't like how I didn't tell the teachers fully what happened. I know that I was in shock. I know that adrenaline, I know. But I still don't like that I wasn't honest with the adults about exactly what happened. Like, did they probably know because a lot of people saw it? Yeah, they were probably told afterwards. But I don't like that I wasn't the one to tell them. So I would give myself crab apple. We're gonna go with undecided this time because you guys are gonna pick. I would love for you guys to tell me. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do differently today. So to recap, we have one bad apple, two good apples, and one undecided that you guys are gonna let me know. I know that I always put a poll on each bad apple thing on my community page on YouTube. I'm also gonna put this poll on my subreddit, the r/am I the bad apple. That also is where you guys can send in stories for me to use on future episodes. Probably over the weekend I'll screenshot the results from Reddit and put them on the community page just so everyone can see. But again, I don't know how many times we're gonna have an indecisive apple because, I don't know, I was a pretty good kid. Like I was never a partier when I was younger. I didn't go and do questionable things very often, which is why the few times that I did, they just were so memorable that I can tell you exactly what happened today. But if you guys like it, I'll try to think of some more and maybe we'll need an indecisive apple icon, I don't know. But again, don't stress out about it because I don't know how many of these we're gonna have. Anyways, we're gonna close up for the week. I feel like I've been rambling a lot. I was really nervous to tell you guys that story was mine. I hope you guys still love me. But I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your day. I hope if you wake up before your alarm goes off, you still have like a good 4 hours of sleep and it's not gonna go off in 10 minutes. That's always the best, you know, when you accidentally wake up and you look and you're like, yes, I still have like 4 more hours of sleep. And I hope you're not too afraid of me now that you won't come back next week. Anyways, don't forget to put down in the comments what you got for each of the stories, all 4 of them. I can't wait to read your feedback and your ideas. You know I love to do that. And I'll see you later. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.